Dear parents, students, colleagues, and everyone who is watching us at this very moment, welcome to our MS Drama virtual performance. My name is Tomas Stankovski and I am the drama teacher and Macedonian language teacher at Nova Middle School. Today you will have the opportunity to see what my students and I worked during this pandemic. During this pandemic we had a lot of changing moods, a lot of challenging situations, ups and downs, in order to bring a performance called Shakespeare 19. Yes, we got familiar and got acquainted with one of the greatest authors of all time, Mr. William Shakespeare. And I must say it's not easy to work on Shakespeare. It's challenging, especially with 6th, 7th and 8th graders. Although many people think that the time for working Shakespeare is in high school, but still I have different opinion. I think that my students are talented enough to face with the characters of this famous author. You will able to see many different characters, and I like to thank in this moment to all the parents who helped us and support their children in their roles. And I like just to say sorry if your children were loud enough at your home and maybe they've changed the furniture for the scenography. Thank you very much, and especially I like to thank to my students who were very brave and enthusiastic, and they show great effort for doing this. We work in very difficult times, in time of COVID-19. 19, it's a beautiful number, but I don't like to be remembered for a bad thing like this evil disease has. We're gonna remember number 19 after this performance called Shakespeare 19. And without further ado now, I would like to say, please take a seat, enjoy our performance, stay safe and healthy, and no matter what, know one thing: this too shall pass. Thank you very much.
When will we three meet again? In a thunderstorm, in a lightning storm, or when it's raining? The mayhem's finished, when the battle's been lost by one side and won by the other?
We'll be there before the sun sets.
What place? Out on the field.
We'll meet Macbeth there.
Come in, Grey Malkin. Haddock calls me.
I'll be there soon.
What's fair is foul, what's foul is fair. We'll fly off through the fog and filthy air. What's fair is foul and what's foul is fair. We'll fly off through the fog and filthy air. What's fair is foul, what's foul is fair. We'll fly off through the fog and filthy air.
The witches met me on the day of my victory, and since then, I've realized that they have supernatural knowledge. When I tried to question them any further, they vanished into thin air. As I stood there, amazed at the strangeness of all of this, a messenger greeted me as the Fan of Kodor, which is exactly what the three weird sisters had called me, before hailing me as the future king. My dearest partner in greatness, I wanted to tell you the news so that you would not be ignorant of the greatness promised to us, and therefore be unable to celebrate. Keep it close to your heart. And farewell. You are the Than of Glamis and Kodor, and you will be king, just as you were promised. Yet, I worry about your character. You are too full of milk of human kindness to carry on the shortest route to power. You want to be powerful, and you don't lack ambition. But you don't want to lie, nor cheat, yet you want to win when Glanthan of Glamis won. Get yourself home, so I can whisper in your ear and criticize you, so that you could cease to be affected by every single little thing that's keeping you from the crown, which both faith and magic want you to have.
If the oldest sorrow is the most revered, then give mine the privilege of sincerity, and let my grief have the upper hand. If you can accept company in your sadness, then consider your losses again by looking at mine. I had an Edward until a Richard killed him. And I had a husband, Henry, until a Richard killed him. You had an Edward, and a Richard killed him. And you had a Richard, young York, until a Richard killed him. You had a Clarence too. And guess what? A Richard killed him! The canniel of your room has let loose a hellhound that hunts us all to death. A dog that had teeth before it had eyes. And his teeth attack lamps and lamp up their gentle blood. He is the greatest triumph of this earth and thrives amongst the ones he has injured. He thrives. This fool creature who defaces God's handwork came forth from your womb to chase us all to death. O upright, just, and generous God, how can I thank you enough that this deadly mutt preys on his mother's offspring and makes her a companion to others' sorrow? Bear with me. I am hungry for revenge, and now I'm almost sick from gorging myself upon it. Your son Edward, who killed my son Edward, is dead. And your grandson Edward is also dead, with young York thrown in as an extra because both your sons didn't equal my lost son. Your Clarence, who stabbed my son Edward, is dead. And the audience to this frantic play, the adulterer, Hastings, Rivers, Bong, and Gray, have all been smothered in their early graves. But Richard still lives as hell's dark spy, he's only enough to remain long enough before he buys new souls and sends them down below. But soon, his pitiful and well-deserved end will come. The earth gapes open. Hell burns, devils roar, and saints pray that he might be quickly sent from this earth. Dear God, end his life soon, so that I may live to say, the dog is dead.
Now, the winter of our troubles has been transferred into a glorious summer by the ascension of my brother, King Edward IV, son of the House of York. All the clouds that had descended over our family have now been banished and returned to the sea. Now we wear wreaths of victory on our foreheads, and we've hung up our armor as a decoration. We've exchanged the sound of our battle trumpets for the sound of joyful greetings, and our death marches have become a stately dances. The grim, warlike expressions on our faces have smoothed, and instead of charging on armored horses to frighten our opponents, we now dance in ladies' chambers to seductive songs on the lute. But as for me, I am not made for such a game of love, or to admire myself in a mirror. I was badly made, and I lacked the good looks to strut in front of passing girls. Nature has cheated on me, out of handsome features and proper proportions. I was born deformed, unfinished, and born prematurely. I was barely half created when I came into the world and left so lame and mishappen that dogs bark at me as a limp past them. In such a delicate times of peace, I have nothing to do, no joys help me pass the time unless I want to see my own shadow in the sun and make speeches about my deformity. Therefore, since I cannot amuse myself by being a lover during these peaceful days, I am determined to become a villain. I have hatched plots and put dangerous plans into actions, using prophecies made while drunk, slander and stories about dreams in order to set my brother George, Duke of Clarence, against my brother, the king, so that they hate each other. If King Edward is as true as I am clever, he's cleverer than me, huh? No way. False or traitors, then this very day Clarence will be imprisoned because of a prophecy that G will murder Edward's son. But you thoughts, hide yourselves deep down in my soul, for here comes Clarence!
Set. down. Set down, you honorable load of men. If honor can be shrouded in a coffin, will I solemnly mourn the early death of Rich's Henry. Oh, you poor cold corpse of a holy king, you last remains of the house of Lancaster, you bloodless remnant of that royal blood. It's lawful to speak to your ghost. Then listen to the sorrows of poor Anne. My husband was Edward, your slaughtered son, who was murdered by the same man who stabbed you. Oh, let me pour my helpless tears into your wounds, those open windows that let your spirit escape. I curse the hand that made these holes in you. I curse the heart of the person who had the heart to do it. Curse the blood of the men who shed your blood. I hope evil fortunes fall upon that hateful man, the one that killed you and my husband, and now makes me suffer. May his fate be worse than any creepy Spanish stain that lives. If he ever has a child, may it be born premature and unnatural. May his appearance be so ugly and monstrous that even its own mother will fear it. That way, the child will inherit your murder's own unhappiness. If he ever has a wife, may she be more miserable at his death than I am now. Mourning my husband and you. My father-in-law.
My noble father, I feel that my loyalty is divided. I owe to you for my very life and my upbringing, and because of this, I respect you. I have a duty to you, as I'm your daughter. But here is my husband, and as my mother showed duty to you, prioritizing you above her own father, I must show duty to my husband the more. The quickness and boldness which I have taken control over my future clearly show that I married the Moor so that I could live with him. My heart is completely under his control. I saw Othello's true nature in his mind, and I dedicated my soul and all of my fortune to his honor and bravery. So, my dear lords, if I'm left behind while he goes off to war, I will be deprived of seeing the very things I married him for, and I will have a horrible time here without him. Let me go with him.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to our following stage, Juliet, to represent her monologue. Woo! Oh, Romeo, why must you be Romeo? Deny your father and give up your name. Or, if you won't change your name, just swear your love to me and I'll give up being a Capulet. Your name is my only enemy. You be yourself, even if it ceased to be a montage. What's a montage after all? It's not a hand, foot, arm, face, or any other body part. Oh, change your name, please. What's even significant of a name? Sorry. Is it a thing we call a rose, which would smell as sweet even if it was called by some other name? So, even if Romeo was called by some other name, he would still be perfect for me. Oh, and Romeo, take off your name. It doesn't have any connection to who you are. And take all of me instead.
He jokes about scars from wounds he's never felt. But wait, what light is that in the window over there? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Rise, beautiful sun, and kill the jealous moon, which is already sick and pale with grief, because Juliet, her maid, is more beautiful than she is. Don't be her maid, since she's jealous. The moon's virginity makes her look sick and green, and only fools hold on to their virginity. Throw it off. It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, I wish she knew I loved her. She's talking, but she isn't saying anything. Why is that? Her eyes are speaking. I'll respond. No, I am too bold. It's not me she speaks. Two of the most beautiful stars in the sky had to go off on some business, and begged I to twinkle in their place until they return. If her eyes were the sky and the stars were her head, the brightness on her cheeks would overwhelm the stars, just as daylight outshines a lamp, and her eyes in the night sky would shine so brightly that birds would start to singing. It was day. Look how she leans her cheek against her hand. I wish were a glove on that hand, so I could touch her cheek. She speaks. Speak again, bright angel, for tonight you are as glorious as an angel, shining above my head like a winged messenger from heaven, one who makes mortals fall into their backs to gaze up in awe, 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 as the angel strides across the clouds as sail through the air. Stop, heh.
Oh, Romeo, why must you be Romeo? Just deny your father and give up your name. Or if you won't change your name, just please promise all your love to me, and I will give up being a Capulet. Only your name is my enemy. You'd be yourself even if you cease being a montage. What's a montage after all? It's not a hand, a foot, or an arm, or any kind of body part. Just please give up your name. What is the significance of a name anyway? If a rose would be just the same and as sweet if you called it something else. So you, Romeo, if you changed your name, you'd be just as perfect. So take off your name and take all of me instead.
She loves me. She doesn't love me. She loves me. She doesn't love me. She loves me. She doesn't love me. She loves me. Some people joke about scars from wounds they never had. But wait, what light is that in that window over there? It is the east, and Julia is the sun. Rise up, beautiful sun, and kill the jealous moon, which is already sick and pale with grief, because Juliet, her maid, is far more beautiful than she is. Don't be her maid since she's jealous. The moon's virginity makes her look sick and pale. Only fools hold on to their virginity. Throw it off. It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. I wish she knew I loved her. She's speaking, but not saying anything. Why is that? She's speaking with her eyes. I'll respond, no. I am too bold. It's not I who she speaks to. Two of the brightest stars in the sky had to go off on business, so they asked her eyes to winkle in place until they returned. If her eyes were in the sky and the stars were in her head, the brightness of her cheeks would overwhelm all the stars, just as daylight outshines a lamp. If her eyes were in the sky, they would shine so bright that birds would start singing, thinking it was day. Oh, look at her head resting on her hand. I wish I was a glove on that hand, so I could feel her cheeks. She speaks. Speak again, bright angel, for tonight you look as beautiful as an angel from heaven, a winged messenger that makes mortals fall on their back and gaze in awe as she glides through the clouds and sails through the air.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, why must you be Romeo? Deny your father and give up your name. Or if you won't give up your name, just swear your love to me and I will give up being a Capulet. Only your name is my enemy. You would still be yourself if you ceased to be a Montague. What is a Montague after all? It's not an arm, foot, face, or any other body part. Oh, change your name. What is the significance of her name? A rose would still smell as sweet if we called it by some other name. So even if we called Romeo by some other name, he would still be perfect. So take off your name, which really has no connection to who you are, and take all of me instead.
But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east. And Juliet, oh Juliet, is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, none but fools do wear it. So cast it off. It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses, and I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heavens, having some business, do entreat her eyes. What if her eyes were there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheek would shame those stars, as daylight doth a lamp. Her eyes in heaven would through the airy region stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were not night. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek.
Romeo, Romeo, why must you be Romeo? Deny your father and give up your name. Or if you won't change your name, swear your love to me and I will give up being a Capulet. Only your name is my enemy. You'd be yourself even if you won't cease to be a Montag. What's a Montag after all? It's not a hand, foot, an arm, face, or any other body part. Oh, change your name. What's the significance of a name? The thing we call a rose would still smell as sweet as if it were called by any other name. Oh, so even if Romeo had some other name, it would still be perfect. Take off your name, Romeo. Take off your name, which really has no connection to who you are. And take me. Take all of me instead.
Thus I make this fool into my bank account. I'd be wasting my cleverness if I spent time with such an idiot without getting some amusement and money out of it. I hate the Moor, and there's a rumor going around that he slept with my wife. I don't know if this is true, but even just on suspicion, I'll think of it like it's a sure thing. He holds me in high esteem. This will be even better for my plan. Cassio is an attractive fellow. Let me think now. How can I get his place as lieutenant and raise up my own status? Through trickery. How? How? Let's see. In a little while, I can lie to Othello, telling him that Cassio is getting too close with Desdemona. Cassio has good looks and smooth manners to be suspected of such a thing. He looks like he could get a woman to cheat on her husband. The Moor is gullible and trusting. He thinks men are honest when they only appear to be. I can lead him around like a donkey. That's it. I've laid the seeds of my plan, and it will come to fruition with the help of hell.
Thus, I make this fool into my bank account. I'd be wasting my cleverness if I spent time with such an idiot without getting some amusement and money out of it. I hate the Moor, and there's a rumor going around that he slept with my wife. No. I don't know if this is even true, but even just on suspicion, I'll think like it's a sure thing. This will be better for my plan. Cassio is an attractive fellow. Let me think now. How can I get his place as a lieutenant and rise up my own status through trickery? How? Let's see. A little while, I can lie to Othello, telling him that Cassio is getting too close with him, with Desmond. Cassio has the good looks, and smooth manners to be suspected of such a thing. He could look like he could get a woman to cheat on her husband. The Moor is gullible and trusting. He thinks men are honest when they only appear to be. I can lead him around like a donkey. That's it. That's it. I've laid the seeds of my plan, and it will come to fruition with the help of hell.
These are lies that emerge from your jealousy, not once, since the beginning of midsummer, whether on a hill, in a valley, a forest, or a meadow, by the pebbly spring or rushing brook, or on a beach next to the ocean. Have my fairies and I been able to meet and perform our ring dances to the whistling wind without you showing up and interrupting our fun? Because of that, the winds have gotten angry at our lack of response to their calls. In revenge, the winds have made nasty fogs rise up from the sea and make rain fall upon the land, so that rivers have grown large, they flood the land around them. All of the work by the farmers and their oxen has been ruined, even before it could grow ripe. Animal pens stand empty in flooded fields, and the crows are fat from eating the bodies of sheep and cattle killed by disease. The village greens where men play games together are filled with mud, and the maze-like paths people have made through the high-ground grass have faded away, because no one walks through them. The humans have not gotten the winter they should have, and the nights do not receive the blessings of the hymns or carols of that season. As a result, the moon, who controls the tides, is pale with anger and spreads moisture so the colds and flus can spread everywhere. Because of this disturbance, the natural order, the seasons, have changed. Bitter frost upon red roses. And Old Man Winter wears an icy crown, decorated with sweet flower buds, like some kind of cruel prank. The spring, summer, fruitful autumn, and angry winter have all changed out of their normal clothes, and now the confused world can't tell from one another. And all of these bad outcomes are a result of our argument. We are the cause of this.
Sir, not just your fool here, who is allowed to say whatever he wants, but others, in your rude entourage, keep complaining, fighting, and breaking out in full and intolerable wildness. Sir, I have thought that if I told you about this disrespectful behavior, you would have found a solution to it. But now, I'm worried because of what you, yourself, have said and done all too recently. I'm worried that you encourage this kind of behavior by allowing it to continue. If that's the case, then your actions won't escape punishment, and there will be some kind of payment required of you for the good of the kingdom. I realize that having to punish your knights will seem shameful to you, but it's necessary for this instance.
My noble father, I feel that my loyalty is divided. I owe you for my very life and my upbringing. Because of this, I respect you. I have a duty to you, as I am your daughter. But here's my husband, and as my mother showed duty to you, prioritizing you above her own father, so must I show duty to my husband the more. The quickness and boldness with which I have taken control of my life clearly shows that I married the more so that I could live with him. My heart is completely under his control. I saw Othello's true nature in his mind, and dedicated my soul and all my fortune to his honor and bravery. So, my dear lords, if I am left behind while he goes off to war, I will be deprived of seeing the very things I married him for, and I will have a horrible time here without him. Let me go with him.
I don't want to be your executioner. I avoid you so that I won't hurt you. You tell me there's murder in my eyes? That's a pretty phrase, sure. And very probable the eyes, which are the frailest, softest things, and so cowardly that they shut their lids even to something as harmless as dust, should be tyrants, butchers, and murderers? Now I'm frowning at you with all my strength, and if my eyes can really wound, then let them kill you. Now go ahead, pretend to faint, go fall down. Or if you can't, all for shame. Don't lie and tell me my eyes are murderers. If you get scratched by a pin, it leaves a scar. Even if you lean on a rush, it leaves a visible impression on your palm for a moment. But my eyes have hurled at you, haven't hurt you at all. Now I'm sure that there's no force in my eyes that can cause injury.
The witches met me at the day of my victory, and I have since learned for certain that they have supernatural knowledge. When I tried frantically to question them further, they vanished into the air. While I stood amazed at the strangeness of all of this, messengers from the king arrived and greeted me as Stein of Cardor, which is exactly what the weird sisters had called me before they hazeled me as the future king. My dearest partner in greatness, I wanted to tell you this news so that you would not be ignorant of the greatness promised to us and therefore be unable to celebrate. Keep it close to your heart, and farewell. You are Thine of Glance in Cardor, and you will be the king, just as you were promised. Yet I worry about your care. You're too full of the milk of human kindness to take the shortest route to power. You want to be powerful, and you don't lack ambition. But you don't have the necessary requirements to truly go for it. You want to become powerful by acting with virtue and goodness. You don't want to lie or cheat, and yet you want to win with great Thine of Glance. You want to have something, but you're too frightened to go get it. So get yourself home so I can whisper in your ear and criticize you, so that you don't cease to be affected by everything that's keeping you from taking the crown, which fate and magic both seem to want you to have.
Thus I make this fool into my bank account. I'd be wasting my cleverness if I spent time with such an idiot without getting some money and amusement out of it. I hate the Moor, and there's a rumor going around that he slept with my wife. I don't know if this is true, but even just on suspicion, I'll think of it like a sure thing. He holds me in high esteem. This'll be even better for my plan. Cassio's an attractive fellow. Let me think now. How can I get his place as lieutenant and raise up my own status through trickery? How? Let's see. In a little while I can lie to a fellow, telling him that Cassio getting too close with Desdemona. Cassio has the good looks and smooth manners to be suspected of such a thing. He looks like he could get a woman to cheat on her husband. The Moor is gullible and trusting. He thinks men are honest when they only appear to be. I can lead him around like a donkey. That's it. I've laid the seeds of my plan, and it will come to fruition with the help of hell.
Oh, his great mind has been overcome by insanity. He had a courtier's persuasiveness, a soldier's courage, and a scholar's wisdom. He was the perfect rose and great hope of our country, the model of good manners, the trendsetter, the center of attention. Now he's fallen so low. I'm the most miserable of all women who once enjoyed hearing his sweet words. A once noble and disciplined mind that sang so sweetly is now harsh and out of tune. The unmatched beauty he had in the full bloom of his youth had been destroyed by madness. Oh, poor me, to have seen Hamlet the way he was, and now see him in this way.
How happy some people can be compared to others. Throughout Athens, people think I'm as beautiful as Hermia. But what does that matter? Demetrius doesn't think so. The only opinion he has is his own. And while he wanders idolizing Hermia's eyes, likewise I admire his beauty. Love can transform crude and horrible things of no worth into beautiful and dignified things. Love doesn't look with the eyes but with the mind. That's why they paint winged Cupid blind. And love doesn't have good judgment or taste. Wings and blindness make for undue speed in falling in love. Thus love is thought of as a child. He often makes the wrong choice. Just like mischievous boys who go back to their word as they play games, so too does the boy love perjure himself everywhere. Because before Demetrius saw Helena's eyes, he swore he belonged only to me. And when he felt attracted to Hermia, he dissolved. His promises melted down like hail in the heat. I will go tell him that beautiful Hermia is running away. Then tomorrow night he will go to the forest to try to pursue her. And if he thanks me for this little piece of information, it will all be worth it. But in this way I plan on making my pain worse, by seeing him go there and back again.
Oh, his great mind has been overcome by insanity. He had a courteous persuasiveness, a soldier's courage, and a scholar's wisdom. He was the perfect rose and great hope of our country, the model of good manners, the trendsetter, and the center of attention. But now he's fallen so low. I'm the most miserable of all the women who once enjoyed hearing his sweet words. A once noble and indisciplined mind that sang sweetly is now harsh and out of tune. The unmatched beauty he had in the full bloom of his youth has been destroyed by madness. Oh, for me to have seen Hamlet as he was, and now to see him this way.
Oh, poor cold corpse of a holy king, the last remains of the House of Lancaster, bloodless remnant of that royal blood. If it's lawful to speak to your ghost, then listen to the sorrows of man. My husband was Edward, your slaughtered son, who was murdered by the same man who stabbed you. Oh, let me pour my helpless tears into your room. Those open windows that let your spirit escape. I curse the hand that put these holes in you. I curse the heart of the person who had the heart to do it. And I curse the blood of the man who shed your blood. I hope evil fortunes fall upon that hateful man. The one who killed you, and now makes me suffer. May his fate be worse than anything I would wish on wolves, toads, spiders, or any creeping, venomous thing that lives. And if he ever has a child, may it be born premature and unnatural, and may its appearance be so ugly and monstrous that even its own hopeful mother will fear it. That way, the child will inherit your murderer's own unhappiness. And if he ever has a wife, may she be more miserable at his death than I am now. Mourning my husband and you, my father-in-law.
To be or not to be? That is the question. Is it nobler to suffer through all of the terrible things fate throws at you? Or to fight off your troubles, and in doing so, end them completely? To die, sleep, because that's all dying is. And by sleep, I mean an end to all the heartache and the 1,000 injuries that we were vulnerable to. That's an end to be wished for. To die, sleep, perhaps to dream. Yes, but there's the catch. Because the kinds of dreams that might come in your sleep of death, after you've left behind your mortal body, are something to make you anxious. That's the consideration that makes us suffer the calamities of life for so long. Because who in their right mind would bear all the trials and tribulations of time, the oppression of the powerful, the insults of arrogant men, the pangs of unrequited love, the slowness of justice and the disrespect of people in office, and the general abuse of good people by bad, when you could just settle all of your debts using nothing more than an unsheathed dagger. Who would bear his burdens and grunt and sweat through a tiring life if they weren't frightened of what might happen after death? That undiscovered country from which no visitor returned, which we wonder about and makes us prefer the troubles we know rather than to fly off and face the ones we don't. Thus, the fear of death makes us all cowards, and our natural willingness to act is made weak by too much thinking. Actions of great urgency and importance get thrown off course because of this sort of thinking, and they cease to be actions at all. But wait, here is the beautiful Ophelia. Thank you.
Oh, his great mind has been overcome by insanity. He had a courtier's persuasiveness, a soldier's courage, a scholar's wisdom. He was the perfect rose and a great hope for our country. The trendsetter, the center of attention. But now he is fallen so low. I am the most miserable of all women who once enjoyed hearing his sweet words. A once noble and disciplined mind that sang sweetly is now harsh and out of tune. The unmatched beauty he had in the full bloom of his youth has now been destroyed by madness. Oh, poor me, to have seen Hamlet as he was, and to see him now in this way.